Men of Reddit, when was the last time you've cried and why? Yesterday. Grief. Wife died 8 months ago. She was the love of my life and my best friend. Woke up at 4 a.m. after dreaming my dad told me he has days to live. Then realized he is actually dead. A couple days ago in the shower. The song You Can Let Go Now Daddy came on. My grandpa had an aneurysm blow and my mom sang that song to him when they unplugged the machines. It'll always make me cry. Edit. Thank you all for your kind words. And my first awards of any kind. Walking into rehab when almost no one knew I was going. 60 days later I'm sober as hell and going to be a sober dad. Months ago when my best friend was found dead in his car after a week-long search for him. Turned out he killed himself. My friend and gym partner killed himself on November 5th and I didn't know for a whole week. I was texting him daily things like, "Hey man, where are you at? Are we lifting today? Did I do something wrong? Why aren't you replying? Hey man, if you don't respond to this message I'm calling the police for a welfare check." And then a friend found the GoFundMe on Facebook. I cried so hard and loud that I heard my roommate approach my door to knock. He heard me through the door. And did a quick about face to retreat back to his room. Today someone approached me in the gym saying, "Hey man, do you know what happened to Ryan? He was in my class and just stopped showing up one day last semester." And I went full deer in the headlights before straightforwardly answering, "He killed himself," then returning to my workout to avoid the emotions and awkwardness. I started drinking at 8 a.m. today, so I got that going for me. Hey guys, I appreciate the concern and I assure you I anything but an alcoholic. Just had a moment of shock. I'm going to take a nap. Take the dog for a long walk. Then get back to it as I usually do. Once again I appreciate those who reached out, but I'm going to be fine. I was tucking in my 7-year-old daughter a couple of months ago. And she told me that she was worried about me dying before her. I'm only 42 and healthy. So I had a conversation about how old I am likely to live and that she will be an adult when I die. Then she said, "But when you do die, will you help me? Because I need you so much." And I lost it. Last year on my birthday. Because I made it this far and some of my friends did not. Last week at our first ultrasound. Wife and I have had 2 miscarriages and we had an appointment and saw the heartbeat. This little peanut has stuck around the longest so far. Fingers crossed. About 5 minutes ago. One of my nephews is currently in surgery for something his doctors have never seen in a kid his age before. I just got news from my sister that best case scenario has happened. And they were able to take care of things. He should be out of the OR in half the time as was expected. So, yeah. Crying in relief at my desk at work. Going up to see him in a couple days. It's hard to explain what it means to have kids like him in your life. Edit. I just found out that he is out of surgery and everything was successful. Huge weight off my mind. This last weekend. After a night of drinks. A very good friend of mine and I were ending the night at her apartment. We had been chatting for a bit when at one point, she redirected the conversation and began to beam about how she's proud of the man I've become. She talked about my character, how I treat people, and my habits. She told me there are things I do that she admires. Things that I've been doing for years. And that I thought no one noticed. It was a very tender moment and I couldn't help tearing up. I've never had a friend or loved one, other than a relative, say such beautiful things about me. Bless her soul. I don't know what I would do without her. To say that she's an amazing person wouldn't be enough. Edit. Hey everyone. Really appreciate all the love this post is getting. I'm currently at work and don't have the time to respond to everyone's messages. I'm planning on coming back to this comment once I have some more time. This morning, we lost a son who was born at 20 weeks a few weeks ago. He lived for 2 hours and died in my arms. Every time I close my eyes I see him. I know it'll get better in time. But for now it's rough. Took a small getaway trip. About 8-hour drive few weeks back due to stress. I played all of the songs I shouldn't play on the drive up and let myself unwind in the car and get all of that stuff out. Job stress. Feelings toward my ex. The whole gamut. Did me well. Edit. Gamut. Edit. To everyone Ming me. Thank you for your stories. Life can be hard. Make time to find the gentle solitude you need. We'll all make it through this in time. Slowly. But surely. It was over the weekend. I was reaching out to a few different friends to see what they're up to. but everyone else had pre-existing plans. It hit me hard when I realized that I'm always making an effort to reach out. But I don't get the same in return. I do a lot of the work. And when I try to make plans, there's always something that comes up or they're too busy. I had to put down my house cattle dog. It was just me and her for 12 years, and then I got married and she got sick shortly after. Worst day of my life since my grandfather passed. Added. Here's a pic of her that was usually my phone's wallpaper. Sadie. Last month, when my daughter was born. Edit. Wow. Thank you so much everyone for your kind words and for the gold and silver. The little one sends hugs and kisses to each and every one of you. Month ago. Was yelling at my kids because they were misbehaving and I put them to bed early. Broke down afterwards and cried on the stairs. Knew I didn't have to yell as much and said some unnecessary things. Wife talked with me on the stairs and it turned into a turning point in my life, and I'm doing much better with the discipline. Edit. Holy shit, haven't checked since I got off work and this blew up. Never hit my kids and never will. Immediately after the talk with the wife I went and apologized. While I held my 4-year-old daughter in my arms and realized there was nothing that I could do to save her from dying from mitochondrial disease. I don't think I had ever cried so hard before or since. 7 years later it still haunts me, but time does make it less painful. When my father was so grumpy he kept on shouting at my mom that she ran out of the house with her keys. I joined her a little later outside and sat with her till she went home, and then went to my GF and cried on her shoulders. EDT. Thanks for ya shining tabloon. But more seriously, take care of yourself, your mother and your father. Acknowledge your problems. It is not a weakness to talk to professionals or to cry or to emote once in a while. This is the main reason my dad has these issues, so please take men who have these problems seriously and help them. When my GF broke up with me through a phone call after 6 years. Just couldn't hold it together. Edit. Thanks for all the kind words and such. It's been a few weeks and I feel a bit better by now. We also met up and talked about it a bit. The sadness and frustration still there. But she found the guts to talk to me about it personally, and I appreciate that. Says she wanna stay friends and all that stuff, but whatever. No idea how that's supposed to work out. Definitely can't just pretend nothing happened lol. I'm in the process of moving out and had quite the shitty day. So thanks again. Really appreciate. Hope shit gets better for all of you commenting that you experienced the same. My ex-fiancé left me after I spent 9 days in the hospital battling dual pneumonia and almost dying. Didn't realize I cared so much about Kobe until I stayed leaky-eyed for 20 minutes watching the coverage Sunday. My daughter was born the start of last year. Think I must have cried for a solid hour. I cry all the time. For various reasons. I'm nearly 30 years old. I actually think it is healthy to do so. Whenever I've finished crying, I always feel so much better about whatever it is. A few weeks ago, when one of my best friends told me he's going to be a dad, I can go for months and months without shedding a single tear. But these news got me really emotional. In the best sense of the word. This has been an eye-opening experience for me, as I had no idea I was capable of feeling such things. My marriage was on the verge of collapse when my ex-wife got a job offer in another state. She had been unemployed for some time, so she had to take the job. We decided I should stay behind since I had a steady job and divorce was inevitable. My wife moved out and the kids stayed with me until she got a home in her new city. Taking my kids to the airport and putting them on a plane to move away from me was soul-crushing. I held it together until they boarded. Once they got on the plane I lost my shit. My kids only lasted a few months with mom before packing up and moving back to live with me. Last year I had to carry 2 of my bull mastiffs to the vet. They were sisters, because one had a thing on her tongue. And figured I'll carry both for a checkup. I left the vet without them since they both had cancer and had to be put down because it was getting worse. I was with my mother, sister and my wife, who all came along for the ride. Everybody was stunned and in tears. And I tried to brush it off like no big deal and that everything will be fine and that this was for the best. When I dropped everybody home and was finally by myself in the truck, I had to pull over at the next corner to just let it all out. I cried so hard driving became impossible. And must have remained parked there for 10 minutes easily. A month after that, at my workplace I adopted this stray dog who wandered into our site. Named him Bruno. He was super playful and the cutest mutt ever. Anytime work got too stressful or my anxiety got the better of me, I'd leave the office and walk out to the car park where he 100% was always there to get my mind off of things. I have spent 30 minutes almost every day just sitting down and rubbing his tummy. Just the sound of my truck coming down the hill to the office, he'd know it was me and prepare his assault on my clean work pants with his dirty paws. The last time we spent together, I was outside giving him his usual to me rub and love up. And I was called out to make a couple of runs in my truck. There was a bad thunderstorm that day, and I must have been gone for only 15 minutes. When returning to my office site, I saw the reddish mane of my buddy Bruno all wet and sodden, just laying in the middle of the road lifeless. I told myself it could not be him. No way. I parked my truck in the office, and a few of my employees, knowing the relationship me and this dog had, told me the bad news. They saw a car hit him. Being their employer. Like the scene with the bull mastiffs. I played it cool and had them go and pick up his body for me, which we buried on site here. Like before. As soon as I was left alone, I collapsed in anguish. I have never cried so hard in my life. And this time I cried for days after as well. Anytime I would pull up to work and begin parking, the fact there was no excited mutt to navigate around just broke me up. I have lost family members, teammates and very close friends alike. Never cried for them like I did in these two cases. Edit. Thank you all for the kind messages. Sadly, I have not met a new stray mutt wandering about to adopt on my job site. But at home, me and my wife have adopted 5 cats, not even allowed pets where we live. And she has rescued 2 race horses that were going to be put down since they can no longer race. They now live on 4 acres of fruit-filled land she owns. We just fill the voids in our hearts when we lose these beloved animals by showing more love to others that never had it. This is a video my wife made for Bruno. I'm happy we have so many pics together to remember him by. Last Friday, I hadn't seen a group of friends for a long time, and none of them asked how the past 3 months had been. Last time I got teary-eyed cats in the cradle. Last time I cried, wow, years ago. Must have been when I lost my job, got dumped and my grandfather died. All within 6 hours. That was enough to set me over the edge. Last Friday I was fairly drunk and thought about how much I love my nieces and nephews. I cry pretty often. About every other week or so. It's not healthy for men to bottle up their emotions and not cry for months or years at a time. I've teared up a few times. But last time I legitimately cried was in 2010 when we put my childhood dog down. I was a senior in high school. We had him since I was in 1st grade, 1998. He was my first and only childhood dog. A Siberian Husky, and I feel like we grew up in that house together. He had some cancerous tumor in his stomach that was spreading rather quick. And the attempt at removing didn't go so well as they couldn't get it all. We decided as a family to let him go peacefully so he didn't have to suffer, as they promised us it would continue to grow and possibly cause him severe pain in the near future. I'll never forget holding him in my arms in that room as the vet asked me if I was ready for the moment. When she injected him, I felt his entire body sink into my arms. He was lifeless in an instant. I was so happy he went peacefully without pain. My best friend growing up. I've never expressed my emotions from that moment to anyone besides my parents and my current girlfriend. Whenever I think back to that moment I get teary-eyed, but I'm happy I was there for him in his final moments. I wouldn't change a thing if I could go back in time. Please try and be there for your pet if you ever have to make such a decision. Sunday. Wife has sudden onset of insomnia and anxiety since Christmas, which has started to trigger panic attacks. She had one while I was at work and called me. When I was free to call back, my son answered the phone. I was sobbing listening to my 6-year-old talk her through the breathing exercises we had practiced. That kid gets ice cream for life. No questions asked. And I might go cry again. Edit. Wow, this got a fair few more comments than I expected. Thanks for the well wishes and health advice. Bit of an update. Wife had been taking prescription sleep aids on our doctor's recommendation, which knocked her out for an hour or 2 at most. This was pre-panic attacks, so they changed to anti-anxiety, anti-depression meds for 5 days. She had another 2 panic attacks early in the week, but I had arranged some emergency leave and was there for the worst bits. On day 4 and 5 she managed to relax enough to sleep for a good 5 to 6 hours each time. Followed up with the doctor for blood samples and medical reviews, and she's dropped down to half the dosage for another week. Has slept fairly well since, and her job have been very understanding, so all being well she's back to work for a half day tomorrow. Our son is back at school no worse for wear and has been spoiled rotten by all concerned. Fingers crossed it's just a flash in the pan of stress and all health. But we have a few numbers for counseling and further tests should they be needed down the line. I had some dream in which I don't really remember what happened. But when I woke up I was sobbing like a child. I stopped almost immediately once I was awake. Very strange. I had to put my cat down yesterday. That sucked. Last week? I don't know, man. I cried more in the last month than in my entire life up to a month ago. It's just, the years of loneliness caught up to me and it's hitting me really, really hard. People who say you can be happy on your own are full of shit. We need people. We need social interaction. We need love. You can't be healthy and happy without those things. And I don't have those things. It's just me and my dog. And soon it will be just me. There was a sad song on the radio. Good one though. This was Yesterday. I was 11 and failed to find a single Easter egg in the Easter egg hunt. I only cry when I watch sappy Disney movies alone. Sometimes on purpose just to get it out. I never cry at any other time. I do really let the floodgates open when I do though. And I know I look pretty ridiculous full-blown weeping at a mildly sad cartoon scene. I'm more emotional than your standard guy. I'll tear up fairly frequently. Even at movies and the like. Usually with things involving loss of parents. Last time I would say I actually cried was when I decided it was time to go to a therapist, and in the initial meeting was just offloading all the reasons I decided to come and why I thought I might have a touch of depression. I'm doing much better now. Last time I straight out ugly sobbed was when they put my mother's casket into the vault at the mausoleum. Almost 5 years ago now. While hugging the hell out of my brother. In middle school. I cried because a group of kids were making fun of me. And then they beat the shit out of me for crying. Roughly 11 hours ago. Because I was having a hard time falling asleep. Whoever said real men don't cry has never encountered me. I exist. And I cry. Like, a lot. Same day Kobe dies. My girlfriend of 2 years broke up with me. Lots of tears. July 2019. I surprised my long-distance girlfriend for her birthday after not seeing her for 3 months. Her reaction was bland, which shook me a bit, but I was like, maybe she's tired from college and work. I've gotten us a nice Airbnb for 2 nights so we can have some privacy, but nothing felt right. Last night we were just listening to some music. She was sitting on the bed pressed against the wall. Eyes closed. I was laying on my stomach, and then Georgia by Vance Joy started playing. I teared up and covered my face with my arm. That moment I realized our relationship peaked sometime before. It was only downhill ahead. I cried without any sound, and she felt the bed shaking from me sobbing. Asked me what's wrong, and then I opened up about how I feel that I'm 100% into this relationship but not getting the same back. She started crying as well. Confirmed everything I said and promised she'll try to improve and bring back the spark we once had. We broke up 3 months later. Oh man, do I miss that girl. Last year. 1 week after my birthday on a Friday morning at I believe 10:43 a.m. I sat in the veterinary room with my dog in my arms. As I whispered, "You're such a good girl," and then I broke down. Edit. Actually shed some tears whilst typing. It was thinking about what I was saying to her that got to me. Edit 2. I'm unsure who. Or why, but thank you and LT. 3. I was at lunch with my friends. I was ordering my food. And got a message that Kobe Bryant has died in a helicopter crash. Somehow I maintained my composure and didn't cry there. I went home. Put on my number 8 jersey and cried myself to sleep. He was my idol. The only reason I even liked basketball. And now he's gone. I was newish to Reddit. Read that potato story of the guy that pretended he had never seen one. I don't know why, but that story and the comments made me laugh till I teared. I couldn't even stop to breathe. 2 days ago. I've been crazy lonely lately and stress from finals built up. I always used to be able to deal. But the past months it feels like no one will ever like me. I feel like I sabotage everything I try and start because I never know what to do and I don't know why. Edit. Thanks for all the kind comments. Just over a year and a half ago when I was writing up a little letter for my just recent ex-GF. We both decided to go our own ways, but I was scared she would react, so I wrote a letter to let her know that it was just an honest handful of issues I couldn't get past and that I would always cherish while we had. Part of the reason I was crying was knowing full well that I care too much sometimes and am constantly taken advantage of. But there I was, selling my soul up the river to try and give her closure so she wouldn't do anything reckless. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified about future videos. Now check out one of these interesting videos.